Is it okay now?
Okay, sir.
Is slides change అవుతున్నాయమ్మా?
ఏం చేంజ్ అవ్వట్లేదు సార్, ఒకటే ఉంది, ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ నార్మలైజేషన్ ప్రెజెంట్స్.
Okay. Now?
అయితేనే సార్.
Right. So the definition of the normalization says that set of rules that the table and the database must follow to be well structured. So I have to follow some rules. So how you are going to organize my records in the database, and what is the structure you have to follow. And the main object of this is to present the set of rules of the tables, and the database must be followed the some well structured and historically present as a sequence of normal forms. So we have sequence of normal forms. So one after the other, you have to write in the exam also in the same fashion, as well as in the norms also you have to follow the same sequence. So I cannot jump from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3, 3 to 5, or 3 to 1, something like that. If it is say 1, 2, 3, 4 means in the same order you have to write, and the same order only you have to follow. So the sequence you have to follow, and it says about the rules and regulations to be followed and to maintain the proper records. So when I'm talking about the normalization, so we have different kinds of normalizations. First normalization, second normalization, third normalization, bicon normalization, fourth normalization, fifth normalization. So like this, we have different kinds of normalization. So when I'm talking about the first normalization, you have to say that each and every column or an attribute should contain single value. So this is the first one you have to remember, that for every column you should have single value, not more than that. So in the proper way, if you think, then if you say the definition of the first normalization, so domain is here, domain means here, or no need to get confused, it's a column of each attribute contains only atomic values. So here atomic values means a single values. So the value of the attribute contains only single value. So for the layman terms, if we say every column of each table should have single values. Okay, say suppose example, I am the person who is purchasing the library. So or I purchase the books in library books. So when I purchase the library books, or if I borrow the books from the library, so one person has taken multiple books. So I should be maintain the multiple books, saying that X person on roll number 1542 is the person who has borrowed rdbms book, C++ book, and information technology books. Roll number 17 has taken the book called rdbms. So I should be maintaining the records in a column wise. Each person should give only one book. So I should not should be written in single content. Now here you see how the person has written that C45 has borrowed the books B33, 44, 55. So what is the definition of the first normalization? Say that don't maintain the records in a single one, in a single column, multiple records. He said each one should have only single attribute or with single value. So it should not be written like this. So this is the wrong method is wrong. So this should not be maintained like this. So how I have to maintain? I have to maintain in this fashion. Now this is the solution for the first normalization. So while writing, the diagrams are very important, examples are very important. Based upon the example, you have to write the theory. Okay, it's not if you understand the concepts, then you can write in your own words. So what is happening? So what the definition says, I need my one column should have single value. Okay, so if you say here, I am maintaining the record in this fashion, it should not be the way it should be maintained this fashion. So this is a solution for the first one. So whatever the data you are trying to collect it should be stored in single value. Okay. So when I'm doing like this, I have see another example is the, so I have a flight. So you book the ticket. or if you may go for railway station. Here you're finding that I want to go to Tirupati. So if I want to go to Tirupati, I want to know what are the trains are available on which dates the trains are available. So it's like the same case. Airline also you can take. So I have one flight on, it will going to work on the weekdays, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And on another flight is there, it will work on all the days except Saturday and Sunday. So in this case, again, here you can see this is the thing, it has been maintained like this. It should, for displaying purpose, it's well and good, but for recording purpose, it should not be. Why? Because it will be treated as a single value. See here, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if you store like this, for displaying purpose, this is well and good. Okay, by seeing the person. Okay, as a user, if you see this, okay, this is very good. Not that is not a problem for us. Okay, in single shot, in gunshot, it will be registered in my mind. Okay, it will work on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it will work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This flight will not work. For viewing purpose, this is well and good, but storing purpose, it is not, should not be stored like this. Why? Because if it's stored like this, it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this will be treated as single value. It will be not treated as separately. So that's why when you are storing anything in the database, you should be very careful that each and everything be stored in a single value. Okay, so how the solution is there? So this is the viewing purpose is very good, but for storing purpose is very bad attitude, bad practice we can say. So this is how the solution is. So I had to separately store this in a form of database. So when I'm storing in a tabular format, so tabular format should be in this fashion. So this is what the first normalization says. Okay, see, we have another example also, like we are be having phone numbers are there. Okay, we will be having the schedule time is there. So I can if it is like this, so you should be very cautious. So though the person is having multiple values also, though it is having, you should be, so entities have can have multiple values for same attribute. So for this, if you have same attributes or same values, then you should be cautious, and again it should be saved separately. See, if you using your mobiles also, you have the home number, office number, so you have separate columns are there you are going to write your mobile numbers. Okay, it's not like I'm in by separating the comma or something like that, I will write all my 5 phone numbers in the same single column, then it's a wrong practice. Okay, so this is how you have to see that. So in the implication of the diagrammatically I can show. So already I have been showing in the example, like composite attribute I have been explaining. So one attribute with multiple things. So if you remember that one, I'll be showing, otherwise I'll draw the diagram if you forgot that one. So if you remember the diagram like this is my entity. So if you remember this entity, so here I have something called student is there. So it is having an attribute, say phone number. So here I'm writing just the phone number. So this is normally we'll write entity and attribute, but if we have more than uh, attributes for the sub attributes, so here I have home phone number and office phone number. So if you have like this, then this we call as a composite attribute, because this is like another example. If I say I have something called name is there. So name, again we have something called first name, then we have something called last name, and we have something called middle name. So like this, if you have a attribute subdivided into multiple attributes, then we call this as composite. So I can have pictorial. So what is it is saying? Implication of ER diagram. So diagrammatically I can show like this is well and good, or for displaying purpose this is well and good, but storing purpose it should be in this fashion only. Okay, it should be stored in this fashion only. Okay, so though we have like this, it should not be treated as a atomic slots, because the data should be in the first normalization says that displaying purpose can be okay, but for storing each and everything should be stored in a single value. Okay, why? Because in the table each and every data, so each and every data has some relation, because it says that there is a relation between this particular value and this particular value. So this table says that it has some relation, interrelation or interconnection between each and every value. Okay, so that means something is depend on it. That means this flight is depend on this particular on Monday, this flight is depend on that particular Wednesday, this flight is depend on the particular Friday or something. So we have dependency. So when the dependency is there, so we have to say that dependency has a functional dependency. Say we have something called X attribute and Y attributes. If we have like this, then we can say that R is a relation that belongs to, so X belongs to R, so R is here relation, right? So that is all the components. That means if say R is a relation, so R is something called, we have some components, say 1 2 3 like this. Okay, then X is also have some values, say some values called 4 5 3 7 like this. That means it says that these are all, whatever that is coming, it is coming from this particular relation. That means Y is a functional dependent on X. Okay, Y is a functional dependent on X. So again Y is there, Y is also have something, some values is there over here, say M N O, and some 1 2 like this. So these values are depend on this, where X has belongs to R. So when this is depend, how the X is there, because these all components are belongs to relational R. So it is a functional dependency, right? And when I say Y is a functional, fully functional dependent on Y in table T, if Y is functional dependent on X and Y, that means it is a subset of the X. So here is the subset, no, from this only the parts are coming over here. So it's a subset of Y. Then Y is whatever the data that is there we are displaying. If it is in the table and the table is related to X, then it is a fully functional dependence. That means the values are being depend on each and every one. So here you can say this is depend on. So the Monday, Tuesday are the general days. So on this only the flight will going to work. That means this is depend on this. Okay. So these all are coming from where? Weekdays. So weekdays is what? It's a relation. So I have something called weekdays as a relation, where I have something called Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday also. So all the 7 days I'm trying to put it over here. One among them, few of the things has been taken. Okay, so this is your Y. Okay, this is depend on, or this is depend on some X. So X belongs to this, or X is this one. So here you can say X is this one, and this is Y. So Y is depend on X. So when it is fully, that means this entire data that is being storing in the table, so that it says that it's a fully dependent, because these all values whichever you are writing are coming from somewhere which is depend on this particular days. Okay, so if you see here, this is an example how we are going to call as a functional dependence. So there is a table called book. It is having the attributes. So we call this as an entity in our DBMS terminology, and normally in the database format, we call this as a table. So table has attributes. So this is attributes. These are attributes, or we can say as a column. So we can say as a columns also. We can say as this also columns. So all these columns has some attributes. So these are the attributes. Okay, these are the attributes. So again and again, I'm drawing this one eclipse. So in order to keep in your mind that this is eclipse, or that oval shape is attribute, and this one is your entity. So this entire thing, whatever you are seeing, this one, this is records. So we call this as a records. So so these all records saying something is relation to each and everything. So these are all our relations. So each and everything. So B2 is related to this. This is related to this. So these are all in having a relation. Okay. So what is happening when I'm saying functional dependent? So functional dependence on the pay. So number and the title. So number and the title. These are functional dependent. That means so book number is depend on the title, and the title is depend on the book number. So how this dependent author attribute? Who is dependent on this? Because this book or the book number belongs to this particular author. So this author is functionally dependent on the pair called P1 and mobbed. So what is this mobbed and P1? It's a title and the book number. So the author is dependent on the title and the book number. So if the author is there, then only the book exists and the title exists. Otherwise, it will not exist. So it is functional dependent. Now, when I'm saying here fully functional dependent, that means book number. Why it is called as fully functional dependent? Because this entire thing will going to give the entire profile of others. So if I type the roll number of one person, it will give me the entire history or the profile of that particular person, when he has been admitted, taken the admitted, when he has leaving the college. Okay, what is his performance, each and everything I can get it based upon that. So among this all attributes, one attribute which you are identifying as a major part, that is called as a fully functional dependent, because this all or other whichever, that is the title, book, year, everything is depend on this particular number. Okay, so functionally dependent means the two other pairs, that means other thing which are being measures, that means in this you are, so when you are trying to identify, so what columns are function dependent, what rows are fully dependent, you have to trace it out and you have to make it. So this is what the functional dependent. Okay, now suppose why we are going for the functional dependency. See, I have a table called, another example, borrow books. So this is the books which I have borrowed, and book number is there, pattern is there, pattern is here, author only. So address is there, due date is there. So if we say here book number and the pattern, okay. So we have this one, book number and the pattern are the dependent, and fully dependent is the pattern here. See here, fully dependent is pattern. Whenever I want to know that this book who has taken, or what is his address and what is his duty, because he has to return back the book. So in order to know that uh, when the person has to return the book, unless until I won't get the information, because this is linked to this one. Okay, so this book number, so here this book is has been written by some person, it has been borrowed by this particular persons. Okay, so these books has been borrowed by these persons. So these persons, when they are borrowing the books, has to return back the book on due date. So I should get the information. So in order to get the information, how I, yeah, there was a disturbance. Yeah, so here what is happening, this is the books taken by the one of your student or person. So what I required over here, that this book has to be returned. So in order to return the book, I have to contact that person. So the contact information is this one. So again, this address is depend on this book number and the pattern. So who has taken the book? So J Fisher has taken this book one. So book one is what? It is written by Melville and Moby Dick. So like B1 is like rdbms book. Okay, so rdbms book has been taken by so and so person. So the so and so person, he has to return the book on this particular date. So he has not written. So how are we contacting? By his address or something. So here the address is the major, which is saying that I have depend on this too. And the pattern here in this case, it says that this is depend on others. So the name. So by seeing this, because here it is not showing the roll number and other some name. So based upon that particular name, I will going to get who has taken the book and what is his due date. So among all this, not the book number is important. See here the book number is important. It's a fully functional dependent. But when I'm coming over the borrowing book number is not important. Who has taken the book is the important for me. So this is how we are going to say functional dependent and functional dependent. So example to example that will be changing. So whatever the example you are taking in the exam, based upon that you have to write theoretically. Okay, so the what I suggest is that don't write the same example. You can just change the content and start writing. Take different examples, and based upon that you try to find the functional dependency and fully functional dependent. Okay, so if I don't go with this concept, so I will be having few problems. So if I don't go with the like blindly, I'll just store the things, and if I don't follow the functional dependency concept, then I will be having the problem of insertion anomaly, update anomaly, deletion anomaly. Why? Because I cannot insert new patterns, because until they have borrowed the books. Because see, I cannot insert the book, I cannot give the B4 to some person, because this person has to come to me and he has to take the book. If the person take the books, then only I can enter the that due date and his address when he has to return and what is his address. Then only I can take. That means what is happening? I will be having the problem of insertion. Suppose if I insert also, I need to go for an updates. Like he will be saying that he will be given patterns, or he or she will not, like he will be returning the book, or he may not return the book. He wants to make a renewal of that. So like this, we have a lot of issues. So when he is reliving, this date has to be changed. Okay, so the same book he has to be written, that is okay, like so updation. So if we don't maintain this one, I'll get the problem of updations. And if I that book has been not written by that person, okay, and unfortunately if I deleted it, then everything that is related to that person will be books. So we will lose the information about the pattern that have written all the books they have borrowed. So deletion anomaly problem will become. So if I don't maintain that function dependency, I'll going to get such kind of problems. Okay, yeah. So that is about the first normal form. Then coming to the second normal form. So when I'm talking about the second normal form, first you have to make it that data into first normal form. If you don't do the first normal form, there is no use of going for the second normal. So if you are going for the second normal form, then it should be first make it into a first normal form. Then thereafter you just go to the check whether is it any dependent value is there based upon any candidate key. See, these are the two things you have to remember. So we call those things as a non-prime attributes. So no non-prime attributes is depend on any other proper subset of any candidate key of the table. Okay, so what do you mean by this? A non-primary attribute of a table is an attribute that is not the part of any candidate key of the table. So what is the primary case non-prime attribute says? It says that whatever the other attributes are there, it is not a part of the candidate key. So it should not be like that. Say I have here the table. If you see this particular table, now say this is the main key. This is the main key. So if you remember the previous one, if you remember the previous class. That is well and good. Otherwise, again, I will be explaining this one. Now, this is the all are called as candidate key. So this one are called as candidate key. But in this, if you see this one, this is your primary key. This is your primary key because no duplicate, something like that. So this is a primary key. So if this is a primary key, this rest of the things are called as a candidate key. So these are the rest of the keys we call as a candidate key. So when I'm saying the rest of the things are candidate key, what is saying in the second normal form? If you see that it is should be it is no non-prime. Normal definitions of the non-prime says that it is not a part of. So it should not like that. It should be part of the candidate key. It should be a part of the candidate. So here you see, if you see here, it says no non-prime key. That means whatever the other columns are there, it should be depend on the other. It's not compulsory, but it should be not a part of that. It should not be part of that. So here it says non-prime means not a part of the any candidate key. So definition of the candidate key, you understand. So it should not be part of the primary key, candidate key. Okay. See, this is an example. If you see the library allows the pattern to request books that are currently out. Okay, so that means he wants the books which are been given and it has been given to some other person. So a library allows the pattern. So the pattern is I am the person who taken the book to request the books that are currently out. So I want to see what are the books that have been not with the library and it has been already issued. So these are the books that are being issued and these are the contact numbers. So what it is say here, book number and pattern are the candidate key. So here you can see book number and pattern are the candidate key. And pattern is depend on the phone number. See, if I want to contact this person, he is depend on this particular phone number. So if I want to pick up this person, this is the person. Okay. Then in the table, it is not a normal second normal form. It says it's not a second normal form. Why? Because insertion anomaly, updates anomaly, deletion anomaly problem we are getting, because I cannot insert the records, I cannot update the records, I cannot delete the records. So what is the solution for this? The solution for this is like this. Instead of putting that into a single table, I'm trying to separate the things. So I should not put everything in a single one. That means who has taken the book? So and so person has taken the book. So I have to maintain the separate database like this. Then whenever if you have any doubt regarding that particular persons or something, whether we want to know in depth of that with what is the due date or the whether this person is not in the contact to return the books or updations insertion problem is there, or whether the book has to be returned or he has to pay a penalty, something like that. I need something information. Then I will be contacting the other table. That means automatically this will be linked over. So here, what is happening over here now? This is we called as a child table. So we call this as a child table. Okay, we call this as a child, and this we call as a parent. Why we call this as a parent? Because here we have the patterns. This is authors are the students are there, or the candidates or the person who has taken the books. So we are names can be not duplicated because one the Fisher or the roll number. So here you can take roll number and name and whatever it is. But what is happening? This will be maintained single. So here we don't have any duplications over here. So the data will be only in a single format. Okay, see here, this the same book has taken by this person. Two books has been taken by this person. So now you can see, seeing this one, you can understand this is first normal form. Why? Because I am maintaining the separate data of each and everything in a single value. Okay, so this is so first normal. So if I do this, then only I can go to the second normal. So once I have done this, what I'm doing related to this, I have been separated in a separate column, and I'm saying that this is the second. So I'm making this is a for converting this first normal form to second. So overall, this we call as a second normal form. So when it comes to a second normal form, unless until you whatever the data that has been there. So this is the data. This is the data which is not there in the second normal form. So in order to make this into the second normal form, first you make this into the first normal form. Why? Because here you can see Fisher is repeating, okay, and the roll numbers are repeating like this. So instead of repeating the what the says it should have single value. So what I'm doing, I'm just converting that into a uh, first normal form. Then again the linked one I am linking into the second one. So this is the become the parent one, and this become the child one. Why this is become child one? Because book, when I'm borrowing the book, I'll try to enter the number and I'll be asking to whom I'm issuing. So I should get the names. So the names are coming from this particular parent table. Okay. So when I'm linking these two tables, so if you remember the concept of the key, uh, 2 days back I have been explaining about the something called key concept: primary key, foreign key, composite key. So in that, if you say the definition of the foreign key, for the foreign key will do, it will going to combine the two tables. So relation between that multiple tables. See here, this is the relation. So this is a relation. So how this is relation is established? Because this is being combined, or this is being merged with the other table by using a foreign key concept. So we'll be writing the program and all things, how the primary foreign key will going to work. But there is a link between these two tables with the help of foreign key. So this can be repeated. So this pattern can be repeated as many of times. He can take the books and he can return the books. He can renew the books. So this can be repeated as many of times. But this person to whomever you are giving the books are available from here. So I cannot give the X person this particular book. Say B5 is there. So B5 is a book which has been given X. Now is this X is available over here? If it is not X is not available, then you cannot issue. That means it says that this X is not available. Then what I have to do? I have to insert. If I insert the X value, then only this person can be issued the book. So now I don't have any problem of inserting. I don't have any problem of inserting. Tomorrow I can change I can modify this. I can modify this particular data, or I can modify this particular thing. Okay, saying this, okay, this mobile number has been changed by this Ahmed. So I can have the easily can sort out the problem. So insertion deletion problem which we are facing, that can be sorted over here. When it is sorted, when I'm trying to separate the table. So it's depend upon the your requirement, how you want to change the, so how you want to split the table. So depending upon the scenario, this will, so this can be not the same scenario for the other tables. So whatever the data you collected, you have to try to identify what is the first normal form, and from the first normal form, how I'll go to the second normal form. Okay, then coming to the third normal form. So when I'm telling about the third normal form, what you have to remember, it should be in the second normal form. So it should be in the second normal form. So when it will come to the second normal form, if you have the first term, this is what the in the beginning I was telling, you have to follow the sequence. So this is how you have to follow the sequence. So if you want to go to the third normal form, first you make it into see that whether the table is in the second normal form. Then what the second normal form says, no, you should be make it first into the first normal form, then only you can come to the second normal form, then only you can come to the third normal form. So now in the third normal form, here you'll be taking all the attributes that are determined only by its candidate key and not by the any non-primary attributes. So you should be careful with that. So it should be all the attributes should be based on the candidate key only. It should not be apart from that. It should not be separate. It should be related to that particular thing. So unless until we see the example, you may not understand the definition. Once we see the example, then we'll come to the definition. So what the condition says? The condition says that it should be second normal form. See, again, this is the table. Same example I have taken. Book number, pattern, address, date. So this is your book number is a candidate key. And the pattern is depend on the address. The pattern is depend on the address. So what I'll do, I'll be separating this one. So in the second normal form, what we are doing, first you have to make it into the first normal form. So first normal form is this one. Then second normal form, you are going to split it. So the same thing you are doing. So now you can check this one. So I have converted into first norm. So what I am doing again, I am separating the pattern table. So I have to identify this pattern. So in the previous one, I have written the phone number. They are also the same thing. So I can go for the address, phone number, or address, or you can combine both the things. So only thing is that you have to separate the table. So in the third normal form, you are trying to separate you are trying to split on, going on, split. Why this is splitting? Why we are not able to put it everything in single table? Because when I put it entire data in a single one, then it is very difficult because it's a large data and it is very difficult to update the contents because few columns may not be exist or few data will be not existing. Then if you put a restriction, then at that time it is very difficult. It will not allow you to move to the next record unless until you fill all the criteria. So in order to not to make complex of that particular tables, we try to split it so that it should be very convenient, easy and faster to access. So in order to access the data in faster, easy, flexibility, we should get that particular data to be split so that it should be linked from one table to another so that whatever the data you want, you can pick up from the various tables and I can display. Okay, so in a like if I have two tables, backside this is the how it will be, but when it will come to the front one, that is the people who was asking, I want to know the book and the person address who has taken, then I'll be displaying this is now for displaying purpose, this is okay, but while storing it is splitted. So what is happening in the program, that for the users he will be thinking that I got everything from the one table. So for the user we are just giving a coloring or something like that, saying that okay, we are having that every data. So he was asking that I need my name and the address of that person. So the principal was asking, or the admin has been called that I want to know that this book has been given to this person. I want to know the contact number and what is his due. So I'll be just putting one query. That query will going to pick up the records from two different tables and it will be displaying the record in this fashion. So the major thing is that we have to split the data in this fashion. So I can go for another example. So here again you can see there are tournament is an other attribute and year is an attribute. So this tournament has been played on so and so year. So this is candidate keys. So we call this two as a candidate keys. And when I'm going for the winner, because on this particular tournament which has been played in this year has been won by so and so person. So this is a person who has been won this particular trophy. So this person is depend on this particular date of birth. So winner is depend on this. So I want to know about the Fredrickson, what is his date of birth. So these two are the dependent on each other. So functional dependency concept. So when the functional dependency concept is coming, so you see that it should be splitted. So again, how I be splitted this one. So you have to split this. So tournament and year is one table and winner and DOB has to be so should be separate. So based upon that, I will be linking each and every table. So this is how you can go with the third normal form. Now immediately everyone people will be thinking, okay, once the first has been done, second normal has been done, third normal has done, then immediately blindly they will write fourth normal. So coming to the third, after third, we don't have something called fourth normal form. We have something called bicore normal form. So don't be get confused. So blindly people will be writing, okay, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, first 1 NF, 2 NF, 3 NF, 4 NF, 5 NF, 6 NF, 7 NF. They will write like this. But be cautious over here. When you come to the third normal form, we have something called bicod normal form. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll stop here and we'll be continuing the continuation of this normal, because in one day we cannot learn this normal form. And I think you have the next class, so we'll see the tomorrow the other normal form. Okay, so I stop here only and we join the class tomorrow.